Welcome to Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. It's your chance to hear directly from the head of Lion Basketball. Now, live from Rainbow Daiquiris in Hammond, here's Alan Waddell.
Southeastern hoops took a couple on the chin this past week as they dropped conference games at Central Arkansas and at home against UNO. Southeastern jumped out to a 9-point first-half lead against UCA, led by the return of Pop Jop, but UCA exploded for a big second half to pull away from our Lions. On Saturday, UNO jumped out early and held off a late Lion run in the second half to knock off Southeastern at home, but the Lions will try to rebound this week as they host Houston Baptist on Wednesday night for Jam the Jungle in the University Center, and then we'll take the trip to San Antonio to face Incarnate Word on Saturday and try to get back in the Southland Conference tournament race. Right now, Lions sit currently at 10th, but only 2 games out of 8 as it takes to be in the top 8 to make the Southland Conference tournament. Good evening, Lion fans. I'm Alan Waddell, and I want to welcome you to Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer, live from our home, Rainbow Daiquiris, right here in Hammond. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, wherever you may be, whether listening on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network or watching the live stream on YouTube, right there on the Southeastern Sports Network. We'll be with you until 8 o'clock. We do this each and every Monday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. And over the next hour, we're going to get Coach Kiefer to catch us up on this past week. He'll also give us the scout report for this week as Southeastern takes on Houston Baptist and Incarnate Word. Also, we have a special treat as Lady Lion basketball coach Ayla Gazzardo is here, and we'll hear from her as her Lady Lions are red hot and have won 4 in a row. So we'll certainly hear from her later on in the program. So let's take a break. When we come back, I'll be joined by the head basketball coach of your Southeastern Lions, David Kiefer. Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer is presented by Rainbow Daiquiris on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
The countdown to Katy has begun. The Southland Conference Basketball Tournament at the Merrill Center in Katy, Texas. Experience it live as Southland strong teams compete for a tournament title and a chance to go to the dance. It's affordable family fun and great college hoops action. Tickets for the Southland Conference Basketball Tournament are on sale through school ticket offices and Ticketmaster.com.
All right, welcome back. We're live here at Rainbow Daiquiris in Hammond. This is Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer. I'm Alan Waddell as we're just getting it started here on our program. And at this time, we're going to welcome to the show the head basketball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach David Kiefer. Coach, thanks for being here. I know that this past week had a couple of tough ones. You made that long trip up to UCA and, had a lead there in the first half. They were able to have a big second half on you, and then against UNO on Saturday. So your team facing a little adversity, but still we got a whole lot of season left, and you're only 2 games out of the conference tournament right now.
Yep, only 2 games. Unfortunately, we got to play 2 halves in college basketball. I think we were probably the best first half team in the country, and we haven't quite figured out at the second half or putting 2 halves together. But like you said, we got plenty of time left, plenty of games to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Got to continue to have good practices. Now is when I'm going to be tested. As a coach, we're 3-8. We're sitting at 10th right now. We're battling for 8th place, and we got to, when things get hard, which way we're going to go? Are we going to start getting selfish and worried about your points or your minutes, or are we going to come together and battle even harder to get to this conference tournament? And that's my job right now, to get those guys all pushing in the right direction, make sure we can still do what we're capable of doing.
And one thing we've talked about several times this year is you do have a young squad, and you have a lot of players that haven't been in this position before, where they have to be the guy. And is that a conversation? And are you seeing some of those guys grow up in these type of adversity situations you're in?
Yeah, I've seen some guys grow up. I've also seen some of our young guys, some of our freshmen, kind of hit a wall. It's a lot of minutes and a lot of games. There's not much to say. Those guys, you got to get tougher. You got to, it's not going to slow up. You got to get tougher. You got to keep playing. And like I said, these guys hitting a wall a little bit, but getting back, hopefully getting back a couple guys from injury helps us out, and getting some of those older guys who've been in a slump a little bit. Your Brandon Gonzalez and Jeremiah Saunders back a little more healthy, get their confidence going, just helps our depth out a little bit.
Yeah, we've been seeing that. We saw some guys, that were out this past weekend as well. We saw, Max Starwood, who'd been playing well. He suffered a concussion in the first half at UCA, so he missed the game against UNO on Saturday. And then Max Romanoff, a guy that we've talked about a lot this year. I know someone you're really high on and where his ceiling is here for Southeastern basketball. He didn't play on Saturday as well with the flu, so you were a little shorthanded there on Saturday when you played UNO.
Yeah, it was a culmination of things. Max Romanoff, who'd been really playing well for us lately, gets the flu. He's out. Pop Jop, coming off a concussion, doesn't practice the entire week, gets cleared day of the game to play, does good, but still not fully go. Max in the first half, 7 minutes into the UCA game when we're up 9, gets a concussion, elbow to the head. Max would have been, I think, a very good contributor to the UNO game just because of how they were playing. They were sitting in a 2-3 zone the whole game, and his big body and ability to make the mid-range shot would have been big for us. And it just, partly on me too. We go out to that game, and UNO has played 97% man-to-man the entire year. They come out and play every possession the entire game of half-court trap back to his 2-3 zone, just keeping us off balanced, and credit to them for doing that.
So you had to make some adjustments there, and I know you made a little run there at the end. We're going to talk about that game more later on in the program, but I know you were talking to me off the air about the game on Saturday. You felt maybe didn't have the energy level that you want to have.
Yeah, just from the get-go, I can say this first time this year that we've done a lot of things. We've lost a basketball game about every way you could possibly lose it, except for just not having the same fight and killer instinct and energy. It's just as soon as the ball was jumped, I didn't feel our guys' energy, and that bothered me. And several times, just you can't coach effort, and if we got to coach effort, it's gonna be a long season. But our guys battle back. We had a really good practice today. We had good practice leading up to the UNO thing. Hopefully that's just a one-time thing, and I don't really understand why that happened. But you can list a bunch of reasons why, but they're all excuses to me. You should play as hard as you can, no matter what.
Coach, you mentioned it. You've had some situations this year where you've played really well in a first half or played really well in a second half, but haven't been able to put really complete games together at a consistent level. Is that something you're talking about with your team, the coaching staff talking about, of how to put one of those games together where you play well for the entire 40 minutes? For
sure. That just comes with maturity. These guys just understanding defensively, doing your job every single play. Offensively, you've got a job to do every single time down the floor, and those guys, we talk about it, coming out of high school, just don't understand how important each possession is, each play is. They could get away with so much in high school and kind of do what they want. And now, especially when you're not as talented right now, I think the talent's there, but we're young. We're not good enough offensively to take any plays off. So when we take plays off or we take bad shots, it really hurts us bad, and it gets magnified because of our a lack of experience and understanding how to play.
We're talking with Coach David Kiefer, Lion basketball coach. Had a tough week this past week. Went up to UCA, played really well, had a 9-point lead there in the first half, and then they were able to have an explosive second half against Southeastern. And then and UNO, almost the exact opposite. They jumped out to a lead. We tried to make a run there at the end and just couldn't quite get it back to where we're in striking distance there late in the ball game. Coach, one thing we haven't really talked about a whole lot this year is the pace that Von Julian's on, your senior guard, as he continues to lead the Southland Conference in assists. And I know he's a guy that you can count on. That's he's been there. He's been through the wars. He's been a part of championship teams and deep runs in the conference tournament here for Southeastern. And with still in striking distance to get into that conference tournament. Certainly Vaughn's played well, but I think he's got to play his best down the stretch here if we're going to get back in this thing.
Yeah, for sure. And all this season and I keep echoing to those guys, if we didn't have any seniors, I'd probably maybe doing things a little bit different. But having Vaughn, everything, we got to win now. You know, I know everybody talks about, oh, you guys are going to be really good in the future. You guys are going to be good. You guys are young. But, you know, Vaughn Julian gives us every single thing he's got. I'm not trying to wait till next year. I'm trying to sneak into that tournament and give us everything we got in that tournament and see what happens then. You never know what happens when you get in there. It's only a one-game deal, and you never know what you can do. And we've shown that we can beat everybody. We can lose to everybody, but we've shown that we can beat everybody. So for Vaughn, just the guy's had my back since day one getting the job, and he's done everything we've asked to, whether he's agreed or not. Never even know if he would, but he's been a great soldier, and I'm lucky to have him. So I'm gonna keep battling for him.
Vaughn Julian, he leads the Southland Conference in assists with 108, nearly 5 per game, so doing a good job distributing the basketball to a lot of young players and a lot of players that he hasn't played a lot with.
Right.
So you got to really tip your hat to Vaughn Julian. As Coach said, got to keep battling, try to get that senior into that tournament and make a run of that thing in the tournament. We got a full show for you here tonight, Coach. I know that we have it's really inside Southeastern basketball tonight because we're going to have the women's staff is here as well. We're going to hear from Coach Ayla Gazzardo later on in the program as well. Their team has been red hot. They've won 4 in a row. We're going to talk 2 big games this week. You got Houston Baptist on Wednesday night. That's a Jam the Jungle night, so we have some promotions that'll be taking place at the University Center. We'll let you know all that you need to know about that. And then on Saturday, another long bus ride as you'll go over to San Antonio, Texas, take on Incarnate Word. But a couple of teams on paper, you certainly look at where they stack up in the standings. At some winnable games, some games that you have an opportunity to go get. Certainly everybody's good, and we're going to talk about those teams later on. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get Coach's thoughts more on the Central Arkansas game this past Wednesday and then the game against UNO right here on Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer, presented by Rainbow Daiquiris on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
What do you love most about being a student athlete at Southeastern?
So I chose teammates for life because on our golf team, nobody's from the same spot, but the friendships we've made, once we graduate, I know we'll always be friends, we'll always see each other, we'll always come back and visit.
The Southland Conference, 13 member institutions, over 4,200 student athletes, achieving success in the classroom while excelling in 19 NCAA Division I sports and making a difference through serving others and giving back to the community. Determination, hard work, commitment, excellence, and collaboration. Together, we are Southeastern!
All right, welcome back. We're live here at Rainbow Daiquiris in Hammond. I'm Alan Waddell, joined with the head basketball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach David Kiefer. Southeastern had a couple of tough ones this past week. went on the road on Wednesday and took on UCA. Always a tough place to play, and the Bears certainly play better at home than they've played on the road this year. And Coach, I know this was a game that you jumped out early. You played well. You jumped out to a 9-point lead there in the first half. But Central Ark, they went on a little bit of an offensive scoring spree there in the second half. And I know for a team and for a coach like yourself that really hangs their hat on defense, that's something we haven't really seen a whole lot of this year, where a team puts up 48 points there in the second half.
Yeah, the last 3 halves we played just hasn't been us. Defensively, I don't think our offense helps our defense too much. So sometimes those numbers are a little misleading because live ball turnovers and really bad shots lead to easy baskets. And I think that's a big part of our problem, is taking bad shots and turning the ball over. And you see we had 17 turnovers, and we shot halfway decent, but 5 for 19 from the three-point line. And then you look at the free throw line, we're 5 for 16 from the free throw line. I mean, that's almost unheard of.
And they got to the line 29 times.
Right. I think we had a great first half, and going into that game, I knew that game was going to be a tough matchup for us because Central Arkansas has got a bunch. They're all juniors. They've been there for a while, and they're just really heady. The point guard, DeAndre Jones, has been starting since his freshman year, all conference, very crafty, very cerebral player. The new kid, Rylan Bergenson, coming in from BYU. All those BYU kids. And he sat out, so he's probably 26 years old, married with kids. Just understands how to play, cuts, 6'6", 215 pounds, can shoot. Just playing a bunch of guys that knew how to play basketball. I think early on our athleticism and our pressure bothered them. And when we backed it off just a little bit and didn't have that same effort and same intensity, gave them just a little bit of breathing room, and they could feel their cuts, they could see their passes. And a team like that's going to make you pay because they're really skilled and they can shoot the ball and they can read the defense. And if you're not constantly pressuring and bothering them, and let them get comfortable. That's what they did. They got comfortable, and we got tired and relaxed, and they took advantage of it.
Coach, when you look at, again, they go 25 and 29 from the foul line. You actually shot the ball basically equal to them. You were 29 of 62 from the field. They were 28 of 60, but a major 20-point difference, and that ends up being the difference in the game from the foul line. And one thing, I know you're a pressure defense, and that's what you want to do, but what were they doing to get to the foul line? I know you want to play defense without fouling.
Yeah, there wasn't much that they were doing. It's just our not moving our feet. We practice every day not fouling. We don't try to foul. Great teams don't foul. We use Virginia as an example all the time defensively, and Virginia, one of the best defensive teams in the country, and they also foul the least amount. But we know it's just a process. It's a completely different style from what it's been here before, and we're asking for extreme amount of effort, and we're asking guys to do things that they've never done in their life and that are coming straight from high school. And you're going to talk to Coach Ayla here in a couple minutes, and she's going to tell you the same thing. It's been a process. They didn't come in right away, figuring everything out. They're in year 2, 3, and get their culture set and get those girls doing the things that they want to do. And now they're all buying in, going in the same direction, and they're starting to win game after game. It just takes time I think sometimes to get them to do what you want to do and play the way you want them to play.
Well, Coach, let's turn the page and talk a little bit more about the game on Saturday against UNO. Mm-hmm. And this is a UNO team that's really been kind of an enigma. This is a team that, they were picked to win the league, and they came in, with not a very good record in the Southland Conference, and they played well on Saturday.
Yeah, they did, and I told you earlier, they kind of, I guess you can say, and you should still be, ready regardless, but defense is our deal, and they came out and played a zone 98% of the game, and they've been man-to-man 99% of the whole season, so they came out and worked on something and kind of, I think, just threw it at us and see how we responded, and we didn't respond great. We came out and just kept shooting threes, and we were missing, so they stuck with it, and at the end of the day, it came down to a lot of those plays, 50-50 balls, big offensive rebounds, and that's where UNO is the best at, 50-50 balls, toughness plays, and all those things, and UNO really beat us to those things. So that was the aggravating part, and not that we didn't look good against their zone and we didn't execute well. It was the part that aggravated me, is that them beating us to the 50-50 balls, them beating us on the glass, and that's the part that was frustrating to me. UNO, I told them, you can take away the score, take away the records. It's a rivalry game. Yeah. They're right down the road. That's always been a battle, whether they've been up at the top of the league or we've been at the top of the league or bottom or whatever it's been. It's always been a really tough game, and they got the entire same team from last year. They're missing one guy. I don't really understand why they're losing, But when I watch them on film, I see the same hard-playing team, and I knew that they were going to be a tough challenge for us.
Coach, one thing I didn't bring up about UCA, and we mentioned at the top of the show, was Pop was back. That Pop Jop had been out for a couple of games with a concussion. How do you feel like he mixed it back in there? Came back. I know he hadn't practiced a whole lot.
Yeah, he goes into UCA, played hard, played good at 13 points, but I think he was 1 for 7 from the free throw line. Yeah. Just hadn't got the rhythm as everything was out. He's a little tired, and coming into this game too, just was kind of just wasn't himself. But Pop's going to bring it every single day, and Pop's going to I think he's going to be fine for the future.
Going back to that UNO game on Saturday, this was a game where UNO actually was up 31-15. You made a run. You got it back to 36-31. You had 16 points in the first half by Ty Brewer, and he continues to score at a high level. I mean, he had 24 points in this game as well. And, I mean, going into the year, do you think he had – I mean, he's been your leading scorer all year, but from watching him a year ago and just what he's done offensively, he's just made so many strides and been able to put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that can, create his own shot because of his athleticism. Some of those points are a little bit misleading. We're down 20 points and goes and gets like 6 or 8 in the last not meaningful baskets at the end of the game. Had big 16 points in the first half. I thought he had good energy. He was cutting to the rim, wasn't settling. He was getting to the basket. When he starts settling for threes and fadeaways, that's when he's not as good. His best. He's best for us when he's rebounding the ball and engaged defensively. Yep. I know everybody sees his numbers and seeing him put it up 20, something like that. And I'm okay with that, but Ty's got to be our best defender. Ty's got to be a big-time rebounder, or us. The way we press and what he does is so important to our style of play. So when he's not engaged and locked in, I could care less how many points he scores. If he's not engaged and locked into our pressure and guarding the ball and using his hands as weapons and his voice as a weapon, we're not nearly as good.
I know a guy that you're really high on, Nick Caldwell. He had a nice game, scored 13 in this one against UNO as well. He's a guy that was playing a lot of quality minutes earlier. Then you kind of moved him into the lineup. When you won against Northwestern State, moved him in the starting lineup a couple of weeks ago. And then talk about his progression. I mean, he's a true freshman as well. He's a young pup. Went to Dutchtown, so he's a local product, but he was able to put 13 on the board, and he kind of gives you the ability to stretch the floor, but he can shoot the ball from outside as well, and he has height.
Yeah, Nick's kind of old tweener, the 3 or 4 position. Is skilled enough, can pass, dribble, shoot. He's kind of stuck in between right now. He's got to get stronger, and he knows that. He's put on 15 pounds since he's been here, but he's a boy. You look at our roster out there. We just had some grown men out there looking at him. Our guys are just boys, and Nick falls in that category. He's got to get stronger and go early in the game. We get a big steal, and he gets it right there at the basket, and the guy just bumps him in, and he just kind of falls back and wasn't able to just power through and finish. But he's getting better every day, and the biggest thing about switching him into the starting lineup, I don't really care about starting lineups.
Yeah.
Whoever's in the game at the end of the game, that's who I trust, and that's who's playing. But I started Nick. I wanted to get his confidence going. He was really good early on in the season. Then he kind of hit that wall, and I've noticed myself not playing him as much, and we need him to play. We need him to be good. So we started him, and I found myself easier keeping him on the floor when I started, and gets his confidence going a little bit. And I think that's helped in the past couple games.
You did improve. I know we mentioned it. UCA didn't shoot the ball very well from the foul line. It was only 5 of 16 against UCA, but you're 75% on Saturday, so improved from game to game.
Yeah, it was better. And the other thing, UNO, I mean, as bad as we played at the same time, UNO's dead last in the country in three-pointers, and they come out again just like they did last year. I think we went to their place last year, and they went 15 for 22 from 3, and then this year they go 9 for 16, and Bryson Robinson goes 8 for 13 from 3.
Yeah, and he had 6 in the first half.
That stuff makes it hard, and a lot of those.
Sometimes
things,
that's just their day.
Yeah, sometimes, and a lot of that thing's on us. We're not doing what we were supposed to do defensively, but sometimes the ball just falls in for the other team, and you got to find other ways to win. You can't lose the rebounding battle by 7 and then turn the ball over 17 times and expect to win.
Well, Coach, I'm not going to make you dwell on those anymore. We'll turn the page from that, and we'll certainly we'll turn our attention towards Houston Baptist and Incarnate Word coming up here later in the show. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take another break. When we come back, we're going to have Ayla Gazzardo, a women's basketball coach here at Southeastern. She's going to come up, and we're going to spend some time with her and catch up on what's going on in Lady Line basketball. Right here on Inside Southeastern Basketball, David Kiefer, presented by Rainbow Daiquiris on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
The countdown to Katy has begun. The Southland Conference Basketball Tournament at the Merrill Center in Katy, Texas. Experience it live as Southland Strong teams compete for a tournament title and a chance to go to the dance. It's affordable family fun and great college hoops action. Tickets for the Southland Conference Basketball Tournament are on sale through school ticket offices and Ticketmaster.com.
All right, welcome back. We're live here at Rainbow Daiquiris in Hammond. I'm Alan Waddell. This is Inside Southeastern Basketball. And Coach David Kiefer, he's going to step off for just a few moments as we're going to welcome to our show the head basketball coach of your Southeastern Lady Lions, Coach Ayla Gazzardo. Coach, thanks for coming by and spending some time with us. And, man, I tell you, your team, they're red hot. 4 in a row for your crew. And I know that's something you're super proud of. And just as we were going on the air, I said, man, y'all are playing well. And you said, yeah, we are. We're playing well right now.
Yeah, I'm going to give them the credit where it's due. We've been playing as a team, and I talk about that in probably every interview that I, do these past few weeks. It's team basketball. On the offensive end, the defensive end, we're sharing the ball. We're, in help side. We're just doing everything that we have to do right now to be successful. Not always pretty, but it's successful, and it's coming out with, some victories.
One thing we've noticed since you've taken over here at Southeastern is we've seen continued improvement. Year after year have gotten better and better and better, and you're just continuing to add more wins to the record each year. And through this point of the season, since you've been here, this is the best record you've had, and you're 6-5, and you're right there with an opportunity to make a run at this thing here in the Southland Conference.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. We control our own destiny. We don't want to leave it in the hands of another team to say if we get in or get out. We're just trying to get as many wins as possibly can. We just need to get a taste of Katy. Our guys have been there. They know how to win there. They know, how to be successful. We just got to get a taste, and that's something that we haven't done in 6+ years. So this program's long overdue for a Katy experience.
Coach, 4-game winning streak, 4-game conference winning streak is the longest Southland winning streak for Southeastern since 2008, 2009, so it's been a while. You've had a tough run, but what's jumped out to me through this winning streak that your team has had since you've gone from 2-5 to 6-5 and putting yourself back there in contention is defensively. I really feel like y'all are grinding it out and keeping teams really in the 50s, sometimes the low 60s, but it seems like you're really getting it done on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, well, that's Coach KJ. He's defensive minded. He's taking a passion in it. We get after it. We spend majority of our practice on defense, whether it's just, rebounding, shrinking our gaps, we closing out. We're just locking up defensively, and we're doing it all together. We're holding our best players offensively accountable defensively. Celica Sterling is one of our best offensive players, but she's really getting after it defensively, and she's almost taking a passion to it. She gets excited when she gets stops now. That's something that she necessarily hasn't done in the past.
You talk about Celica Sterling right now. She leads the team in scoring, nearly 14 points a game. She's 7th in the Southland Conference. Talk about your team a little bit as a whole. I know that you have a lot of faithful supporters, but maybe that are tuned in with us right now or watching or saying, hey, I got to come catch a Lady Lion game. They're playing well. What does the listeners, the viewers that are watching us with us today, what do they need to know about your team?
No, they need to come to the game.
That's right.
We're not. I mean, you could probably listen to everybody talk about it on the radio. You could hear us talking about it outside in the community, but our games are exciting. It's
Right.
a lot of eventful times during our games. We might have a 3 shot in somebody's face, and somebody might shoot them with a bow and arrow. We might get a technical, but it's fun. Our girls have fun. Our bench is loud. Our coaches are exciting. Coach KJ's jumping up and down half the time, and Coach Chelsea's telling them to sit down. So we have a lot of fun on the bench. They have a lot of fun on the court, and they're playing like a team. We take a ton of charges, and we're not above the rim like the guys, but we're doing those extra things. To kind of spice up our game a little bit. But you're going to see production from really everybody that steps on the floor, whether it's in the assist category, the points, the rebounds. Caitlin Williams is really stepping up as a big, big presence for us inside. And then, someone like Jaya Francis, who she doesn't play a ton of minutes, but when she does, she's productive during those minutes.
Yeah, she had 19 on Saturday against UNO in a game where Southeastern won 73-57. We're talking with Ayla Gazzardo, head basketball coach of your Southeastern women's basketball team here in Hammond. Lions are on a 4-game winning streak, the longest streak for Southeastern in the Southland Conference in 10 years. In a little bit over 10 years, Southeastern trying to get back in the Southland Conference tournament. We've seen this program continue to grow under Coach Gazzardo's leadership over the last few years. I mentioned that you're off on Wednesday night. The bye falls this week, so you're not going to play Wednesday. You'll play at home on Saturday against Incarnate Word. But when I said that to you off the air, you said, hey, we need it. Our bodies need to get healthy. Talk about the health of your team right now as you're going down this stretch run.
Yeah, we've actually been down. A lot of people probably didn't even realize we've been gone so long, it feels like. We've been down a point guard. Brianka Ducksworth has been out with a little ankle injury right now. Jalen Hutterson's got a little hand injury. And then, we've just been beaten, banged up. So we just really need this week, step back a little mentally, physically, and kind of give our bodies a break. We're still going hard at practice. We had a really good practice today, and we're going to keep doing that. But we got to get on this recruiting trail a little bit and, make sure our girls take care of their classes.
Well, you led me into that. Talk about recruiting a little bit. I know whenever I talked with you when you got the job here and over the last few years, I know one thing that you really wanted to go out and get some of these local players, and I think you've done a good job of doing that. And we see some true freshmen and some players that are stepping right in that are right here from our backyard.
Yeah, everybody says you can't win with Louisiana kids, and I disagree.
Yeah. You're a Louisiana
I'm
kid.
about to say I think I have a little bias here.
Yeah.
It's just these kids they're different. They're not like they're skilled. They're not what you would say a normal basketball player is. They're hungry. They've got that fight in. We call it that dog. They're competitive, and I think that's kind of really vamped our program to a different level because now our practices aren't really bland anymore. They're competitive, tough practices where they're getting after each other. Their words might be exchanged. Somebody might push somebody, but now it's I'm coming for you, and it's taking us to a different level, and that's our homegrown kids. So it's recruiting's fun. It's eventful. It changes every year. We look at different things. We're actually leaving tomorrow to go to Missouri to see a kid, but it's going to be consistent. Recruiting never stops.
Lady Lions will play on Saturday at 1 o'clock in the University Center against Incarnate Word. And I know Saturday it's going to be a special promotion as it's playing. Southeastern is playing its part in the raising cancer awareness by supporting the nationwide Play for K initiative. Talk about that a little bit and what's going on Saturday.
Yeah, our Play for K is brought back. This past year is the second year it's been brought back by our Pride organization. They've done a phenomenal job with helping to purchase pink jerseys. So this is the first year we're going to be playing with our pink jerseys. Pam and Craig Forrest helped provide those jerseys for us. But it's something that we just want to help with cancer awareness, breast cancer for men, women, every type of cancer. We have people that have been diagnosed through remission. We have a big walk during halftime. There'll be bikes on the floor during the game. You ride. You can make donations toward the cancer awareness. But it's just basically an awareness game, and it helps us get involved a little bit with our community and let our community really know that we're behind them, and it's bigger than basketball for us.
It's called the Play for K initiative. The proceeds from the game will benefit the K-Yow Cancer Fund, which raises money for cancer research and is named for the late North Carolina State head coach who passed away from breast cancer in 2009. Southeastern Athletics, Pride, and North Oaks will partner to host the event. All cancer survivors will receive free admission, be honored at halftime during the Survivor Walk, and are invited to the pregame Survivor reception from noon to 1 in the University Center at the St. Tammany Room. So from noon to 1, if you're a cancer survivor, come on out on Saturday. That's certainly a great event that's going to be taking place at the University Center as the Lady Lions look for 5 in a row as they're going to take on Incarnate Word at 1 o'clock. Again, Southeastern has won 4 in a row as they knocked off UNO 73-57 this past Saturday. Southeastern is trying to get back in the Southland Conference Tournament for the first time since 2011, 2012. And, Coach, you're right there in the hunt. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at these Southland Conference standings, and we got a long way to go. You're what, about halfway home? But we got a long way to go as you're just a couple of games out of third place or fourth place right here in the conference tournament.
Yeah, these teams are tough. Any game is a competitive game. You can't look at the standings and say, oh, I'm going to play number 9 and it's going to be a cakewalk. No, those are rival schools for us. And our remaining, I think it's 8-9 games, they're going to be tough. They're on the road, they're home. No matter what, it's all going to be tough. And similar to what Kiefer said, as long as our players are doing their job, that's something that is important to us. We talk about doing our job every day, knowing your role and coming out and doing that. Don't come out there trying to do something that you don't normally do. Do your job. It works for them. That's what we've kind of told you and we've recruited you to do.
Lady Lions will be off on Wednesday as it's their bye week in the schedule. Then they take on Incarnate Word on Saturday, and that's a big game in the standings. Southeastern currently 6-5 in the league, Incarnate Word 5-5. So Southeastern just 1 game up on the Cardinals. So that's a big game for positioning on Saturday. And once again, a lot going on. It's the Play for K game right there on Saturday in the University Center. We're talking with Coach Ayla Gazzardo, women's basketball coach here at Southeastern. And Coach, before I let you go, I know you came by and spent some time with us. Anything else you want to say about your program while you have the open mic? You have the floor here.
I know I'm not talking about my program. I've been in Kiefer's shoes. We did this 2 years ago, and that group is going to be special. We watch them grind it out every day. Probably one of the hardest working people that we have on campus, and I'm excited to see their growth because me and Coach KJ were just talking with what they're in right now is what we were going through those 2 years ago. And it's just going to be, it's a process. You got to hang with it, and the strong survive. And I'm excited to see their progress through this.
Well, Coach, thanks for stopping by, and congratulations on your 4-game streak. We've got a long way to go. Try to make it 5 in a row on Saturday at 1 o'clock at the University Center. Also, that game on Saturday will be televised as well on the Southeastern Sports Network right there on YouTube. Let's take a break. When we come back, Coach Kiefer will be back on the microphone. We'll give you the scouting report for this week for the men's team as they're going to play Houston Baptist on Wednesday at home, and then Saturday they'll be on the road to take on Incarnate Word. Let's take a break right here on Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer, presented by Rainbow Daiquiris on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
What do you love most about being a student athlete at Southeastern?
So I chose teammates for life because on our golf team, nobody's from the same spot, but the friendships we've made, once we graduate, I know we'll always be friends, we'll always see each other, we'll always come back and visit.
The Southland Conference, 13 member institutions, over 4,200 student athletes, achieving success in the classroom while excelling in 19 NCAA Division I sports and making a difference through serving others and giving back to the community. Determination, hard work, commitment, excellence, and collaboration. Together, we are
Southeastern!
All right, let's see. Are we back? I hear music. All right, I think we're back. All right, welcome back to Rainbow Daiquiris. As they're going to fade that music out. So sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulties as we lost our connection here, but no big deal. We got it back online. I'm Alan Waddell. This is Inside Southeastern Basketball. Coach David Kiefer, presented by Rainbow Daiquiris right here on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. I want to thank Coach Ayla Gazzardo from the women's team for being here and spending some time with us. And now we're going to welcome back the head basketball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach David Kiefer. And, Coach, we got to jump right into it. We lost a couple of minutes there. But we got to talk the preview for this week, as your team will be at home on Wednesday night, an opportunity against the Houston Baptist team who comes in. This is a team that's 2-17. They're 2-8 in the league, but man, they play some exciting games, and they're leading the conference in scoring, and they're going to run up and down the floor. Kind of a contrast of styles, as you're really defensive-minded, and they're really just trying to score the basketball. Talk about this matchup on Wednesday night.
Yeah, they lead the conference in scoring. Just over 85 points a game. Every time I look up, it feels like I see them in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Every time I look at it, they're in the hundreds, and they're coming off a win. Just beat Corpus Christi, big win for them. Have had a ton of games that came down right to the wire and go down to the end. I know last year I think they lost 6 of 7 at the buzzer, and this year they've lost a bunch of close games. It's a good basketball team. There's no off nights in our conference. I know you look at the record in 2-17. It's a must win. We don't come to play. These guys can knock us off, and it's a good basketball team. You got a coach that's been there for a long time. They run a real good offense. They're very good spacing and spread the floor, and they got the leading conference, the leading scorer in the conference, Ian DeBose. Very, very skilled player, strong body, about 215 pounds, 6'4", smooth, getting about 23 a night. Can score it at all 3 levels, 3, mid-range. He posts up. He's a really good player. We're going to have our hands full with him, and then they got the Gates kid who leads the conference in 3 points made and attempts, and he shoots it from all over the floor. So if you allow those guys to get comfortable and see the ball go in the basket, and anytime a shooter sees the ball go in the basket and you give them easy shots, the basket gets bigger for them. All we want to do is, good players like that, they're going to make them. All we want to do is make it hard on them. Every single time they get it, we want to make them work for every single thing they do. And good players are going to find their points, but they're going to have to earn it every single time down the floor.
You talked about Ian DeBose, 6'4", 210-pounder. He's leading the conference in scoring at nearly 20 points per game. He's from Durham, North Carolina. They produce good basketball in that part of the world. So certainly we'll have our hands full with them. Now, they're scoring 82 points per game, but, man, they give up nearly 199 points per game. What are teams doing against them to be able to score that well?
Well, I think the biggest thing is getting the ball down there in a hurry. On film, their transition defense, they do a real good job of getting fouled and get to the free throw line and going for round one and getting the ball inside. So when they get the ball inside and they try to chase offensive rebounds, if they miss or make it, they haven't done a great job of transitioning back in defense. So we want to make sure we get the ball down there fast, in a hurry, try to get the ball inside, but at the same time, we've got to play with poise and play smart. We're not just playing fast and out of control to take quick shots and turn the ball over. We've got to learn to play more poised. But if we can get our guys running, get our horses running, Ty and Pop and Nick Caldwell, our athletes running down the court, hopefully we can find ourselves getting a couple easy baskets, because it really helps us get some easy baskets, easy layups, because sometimes we go in those lulls of not scoring for a while. And if we can just get down the floor and get a couple easy baskets, it's going to help our confidence out a little bit, and that also helps set up our press.
It's a 7 o'clock tip against Houston Baptist, and the way they like to run up and down the floor and play pace, and you want to press. This can be action-packed. This is a good game to come to, and ought to be fun to watch, as both teams are going to run up and down the floor in this game. Again, it's Jam the Jungle night, and again, if you're just joining us, listen, Southeastern very much alive to get in the Southland Conference Tournament. We still have, we have 9 games left? Is that about right?
9 games
We have 9 games left. We're 2 games out of the conference tournament, have an opportunity to make up some ground over these next couple of weeks. And listen, you don't ever want to say, hey, this is a must-win, but this is a big one. If you're going to get back in the race, you're playing at home against a team that I know they're coming off of a win, but they have been beatable this year, so certainly this is one where you want to come out and play your best basketball on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's the next game, so it's a must-win. Every
Exactly.
game on our schedule, in my opinion, is a must-win. I haven't went into a game this year, it's like, oh, we're going to lose.
Yeah.
Every time we play, whether it's at Vanderbilt, whether it's at Texas Tech, whether it's at Stephen F. Austin, I feel like our team has a chance to win. If we do what we're capable of doing and play as hard as we can, play with great energy, and play how we practice, we can beat anybody. And I don't want anybody on our team or anybody sitting on our bench that doesn't think anything other than that.
On Saturday, Southeastern will go on the road and take on the Incarnate Word UIW Cardinals over in San Antonio, Texas. It's a 4:15 tip on Saturday over at the McDermott Center in San Antonio, Texas. The Lions lead the all-time series over UIW 5-1. And this is, I know you haven't really started on these guys yet, but again, talk about what I know you've seen them cross tape and everything on tape. Talk about Incarnate Word and what you've seen from them.
Again, a really well-coached team. The guy does a really good job. They run their offense. They run a motion offense, and I've seen him do a really good job of sharing the ball and taking what the defense gives them. They've got heady players. They can make shots. Again, you got. I think if we can impose our will and bring our defense and how we play to the floor and play our style, I think we'll be okay. But again, a very well coached team that's not going to beat themselves. They just beat Houston Baptist. I think they beat Central Arkansas. They got it. They can. We've shown that we can beat anybody. We can lose to anybody. So as long as we're do what we coach our guys to do, I think we'll be fine. But Incarnate Words, it's a well-coached team and it's a young team as well. So we got to make sure we go out there and try to take their confidence away early by guarding and doing our job.
UIW is led by freshman Keyston Willis. He's a 6'3", 180-pound guard out of Sulphur Springs, Texas. He leads their team in scoring with nearly 13 points a game. And that's a 4:15 first tip right there on Saturday. Again, you can listen right here on 90.9 KSLUF 90.9. And because the game it will not be on the Southeastern Sports Network, because the women will be on the Southeastern Sports Network on that day. So we'll certainly, that's only for home games as well. Let's go ahead and take our final break. When we come back, we're going to catch you up on a couple of former Lions that are playing professionally overseas. We'll catch you up on those guys. We'll get Coach's final thoughts, and we'll say goodbye right here on Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer, presented by Rainbow Dackers on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
The countdown to Katy has begun. The Southland Conference Basketball Tournament at the Merrill Center in Katy, Texas. Experience it live as Southland strong teams compete for a tournament title and a chance to go to the dance. It's affordable family fun and great college hoops action. Tickets for the Southland Conference Basketball Tournament are on sale through school ticket offices and Ticketmaster.com.
All right, welcome back. Just a few minutes left to go here on our program. This is Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer, presented by Rainbow Daiquiris right here on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. Lions will be in action twice this week. Wednesday night at home is Jam the Jungle Night. A 7 o'clock tip inside the University Center. If you can't make it, you can watch it on the Southeastern Sports Network. But certainly we want you to be in attendance. Big game for Southeastern, trying to get back in the Southland Conference tournament race. Currently 2 games out of the tournament. Need to put some wins together here to get back into the tournament as they've been for the last several years consecutively here at Southeastern. Coach, we were talking off the air before we went on the program tonight. I know we've had a couple of guys ask us, a couple of people ask me about Marlon Veal and Moses Greenwood. Obviously, some great players that played for Southeastern that had a ton of success here. But both of those guys are playing professionally right now. They're overseas. I believe Moses is in Belgium and Marlon's in Turkey.
Yep.
But they're both playing well right now.
Yeah, both playing really well. I looked at the other day. Moses had a big game at like 18 or 19 in a big game playing over in Belgium. I think the name of his team is Spirou or something. It looks like a big-time league. It's crowded. He's living a good life over there. He really likes his team. Actually, the point guard in his team went to the high school that I went to, so that's kind of cool. They've already made a connection there. And Marlon was MVP in the league that he was at over in Turkey, which is not surprising to all the local fans here. He had a couple games of like 45 points and like 15
I would
rebounds.
imagine he's a fan favorite overseas. Question.
Both having a ton of success, which is not surprising. Those guys put in a ton of work while they're here at Southeastern. They're two of the top 5 players probably ever put a Southeastern jersey on, and not surprised, man. Those guys are tough kids, and they're really good players.
And I know that you've actually signed some players here that's international players that certainly – obviously, Max Romanoff, and then the young man that's going to play next year from Germany, the big 7-foot Bragman, Pop Jop, from Senegal. But man, you just don't think. I think because we're spoiled, we're here in the United States. We think of the NBA and all that. But man, there's opportunities to play overseas professionally, and we're seeing two of the Lion greats have an opportunity to play basketball for a living. I mean, at a young age, that's awesome.
And not just getting a small check here and there. Like those guys are making real good money. And
that's awesome.
And they're having fun, and they get to see the world, and it's awesome. And those guys, those guys are Coach Ladner, Moses Greenwood, and Marlon Veal. A huge reason why I'm sitting here today, and thankful to all those guys and what they did for me and helped us win and helped me to be a head coach.
Well, Coach, we just have a few minutes left to go here on our show, and certainly I know that this past week had a couple of tough ones. You went up there to UCA, and you were right there with those guys. Really, with 9 minutes to go, it's like a 2-point game, and then all of a sudden they just end on a crazy run. And then against UNO, they get off to a hot start, like you said. They haven't traditionally this year shot the 3-point basketball that well. They were red hot in the UC this past Saturday. A couple of games that got away from me, but still, we got a long way to go. We got 9 games to play. Currently, you're 2 games out of the Southland Conference tournament, so plenty of time to make up ground. And I know that would be huge for this young team to make a little run here and put yourself in an opportunity to play postseason basketball.
No question, for a guy's confidence. And then you talk about one for Vaughn's senior year, trying to get Vaughn to play as many games as possible and see if we can't sneak in the NCAA tournament. You've seen crazier stuff happen.
Oh, absolutely.
The same time for those guys to play in the conference tournament as freshmen and get that feel and get that experience, and then to be able to build off that, have a great summer. We got a foreign trip that we're going to go on in August. We're going to be able to get 10 more practices. I think it just
how
would
does
be
that
huge
work?
for.
How does that work? Play foreign?
We go to it's technically not foreign trip. We're going to the U.S. Virgin Islands. I think second week of August, and when you do that, you can go once every 4 years. You can go on one of these overseas trips, and when you do that, you get 10 extra practices. See, once you get it in July 30th, I think is our last day of summer school, and most people have summer school. When they have summer school and those guys finish their last session, then they're done. They got to go home. They can't practice, can't do anything. But if you're one of those schools that is going to do a foreign trip, which you can only do one every 4 years, when you do that, you get to have 10 extra days of practice from August 1st to the 10th. So we'll get those 10 extra days, and then we'll get to go overseas and play like a Canadian national team, or maybe one of those teams over in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Get about 3 or 4 games in. We'll get multiple practices, and most importantly, it's just team bonding and getting everybody close together, because we're going to have some new faces for next year's team. We're going to have some returning faces, and we need to get together and spend some time with each other and get better.
Big day on Wednesday. Let me tell you what's going on. We got a full schedule on Wednesday right here on the network. So let me tell you what's going on. It's in football. It's a National Signing Day. So we're going to actually have 2 events going on our network on Wednesday. So Wednesday at 5:30 at Topla Catering, I'll be with Coach Selfo from 5:30 to 6:30. And we're going to talk about the signing class. So then you come to Topla Catering from 5:30 to 6:30, and you get in your car, you ride over to the University Center, and you watch Southeastern take on Houston Baptist. So starting from 5:30 to 6:30, then you have 30 minutes to go over to the UC. You'll have plenty of time to watch Southeastern play Houston Baptist, so we want to make sure that you'll join us there as well. And another thing is, if you've been noticing, a lot of times when the men are on the road, the women are at home, or vice versa. Well, since the women are off this week, the game will be right here live on the network as well, and then as well as the Southeastern Sports Network as well. So it'll be on the radio, it'll be streamed as well. So many ways to watch or listen to your Lions on Wednesday night. We want to make sure that you're a part of that. So again, National Signing Day from 5:30 to 6:30 with myself and Coach Selfo over at Topolai Catering, and then we will jump to the University Center and watch Southeastern battle Houston Baptist. So make sure you are part of that. Coach, we have about a minute left to go on our show. Your final thoughts of the night as you put last week behind you and get ready for HBU and UIW this week.
Yeah, guys, we had a great practice today. You got no excuses. Got the game on the radio, got it on the TV. You can go hang out with Selfo, have a couple beers, watch the National Signing Day, and head over to the UC, get rowdy over there, and yell at the other team. Need the fans' support. They've been great.
It's a big game for us.
Yeah, huge game for us, and our guys really feed off the energy. It's Jam the Jungle night. Get there, help us out.
There you have it. That's Coach David Kiefer. We want to thank Coach Ayla Gazzardo from the women's basketball team for being here as well. Her Lady Lions have won 4 in a row in the Southland Conference. They're looking for 5 in a row on Saturday at the UC. So you have a couple of opportunities to go to the UC this week and watch Southeastern basketball. On Wednesday, it's the men. On Saturday, it's the women. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. As we had another great time, we'll be here again next Monday night from 7 to 8 o'clock talking Lion basketball. For Coach David Kiefer, I'm Alan Waddell. We'll see you next time right on Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer, presented by Rainbow Daiquiris on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
Inside Southeastern Basketball with David Kiefer is a product of Lion Sport Properties. For more information on how you can support future broadcasts, contact Lion Sport Properties at area code 985-549-2570. Inside Southeastern Basketball with David